Think your Honda is done at 150,000 miles? Most owners do. They see that number on the odometer and start shopping for replacements, convinced their car has reached its limit. They're wrong by about 350,000 miles. Honda's doesn't build disposable cars. Your Civic, Accord, or CR-V contains an engine designed to outlast the payments, outlast the next car you almost bought, and keep running when everything else in your driveway has been replaced twice. The difference between a Honda that quits at 150,000 miles and one still running at 500,000 isn't the model year. It's 15 specific habits that most owners never discover. Today, I'm walking you through every one of those habits in this video. Each one prevents failures most people accept as inevitable. And the last habit on this list might be the single most important thing you do for your Honda's longevity. These aren't generic tips you'd follow for any car. These are Honda-specific habits proven by owners who've actually reached 500,000 miles and mechanics who've seen what separates survivors from scrap. Let's dive in. Habit number 15. Service your oil at 5,000-mile interval. Your Honda's computer calculates oil life based on driving conditions. It factors in engine temperature, RPM patterns, and trip length. When that percentage hits 15%, the wrench icon appears telling you it's time for service. For many Hondas, that happens around 7,500 miles or more. Following that schedule seems reasonable. Honda's engineers programmed it, the maintenance minder approved it. Why question it? Because that calculation assumes ideal conditions most drivers never experience. Steady highway speeds, moderate climate, engines reaching full temperature on every trip. That's not reality for most Honda owners. Real-world driving breaks down oil faster than the maintenance minder accounts for. City traffic with constant acceleration and braking generates heat without adequate cooling. When oil degrades, it stops protecting metal surfaces properly. Your timing chain rubs against guides with insufficient lubrication. The VTEC solenoid screen catches more particles because the oil isn't suspending them correctly, leading to the oil consumption problems Honda engines develop. Engines rebuilt at 150,000 miles consistently show one pattern. Owners followed manufacturer intervals instead of real-world needs. Engines still running strong at 300,000 miles show another pattern. Oil change every 5,000 miles regardless of what the computer said. Use full synthetic 0W-20 at every chain. Modern Honda engines require this viscosity for proper cold start flow and timing chain protection. Spending $40 every 5,000 miles costs you $400 over 50,000 miles. One protects your investment, the other destroys it. Habit number 14. Drain and refill transmission fluid. Your Honda's transmission gets ignored until something goes wrong. By the time you notice slipping or hesitation, you're not preventing damage anymore. You're paying for replacement. Honda marketed lifetime transmission fluid for years. It sounded convenient. One less thing to maintain, one less expense during ownership. But that marketing term destroyed more transmissions than any mechanical flaw. Now they suggest 30,000 to 60,000 miles depending on driving severity. Many owners never got that message. They're still driving on 100,000-mile-old fluid thinking everything is fine. Transmission fluid serves multiple critical functions. In CVT transmissions, it creates the hydraulic pressure keeping the belt engaged with the pulley. When that fluid loses its properties, the belt slips. Slipping generates heat. Heat accelerates fluid breakdown further. The cycle feeds itself until complete transmission failure. In traditional automatic transmissions, fluid carries away microscopic particles from clutch packs and gears. Fresh fluid suspends those particles safely. Old fluid becomes saturated with metallic debris that acts like grinding compound, wearing down every component it touches. CVT-equipped Hondas need attention every 30,000 miles without exception. If you drive a CR-V, Accord, or Civic with CVT, schedule drain and refill services at this interval. Only use genuine Honda CVT fluid. Aftermarket alternatives don't match Honda's friction characteristics and cause premature failure. For conventional automatics, service every 60,000 miles, maximum using genuine Honda A TFDW1. Generic fluid might save you $15 today. It'll cost you a $3,000 to $5,000 transmission tomorrow. Properly maintained Honda CVT transmissions reach 300,000 miles regularly. Those running lifetime fluid fail between 80,000 and 120,000 miles. Choose which lifespan you want. Habit number 13. Fix every oil leak the week you discover it. You walk past your Honda in the driveway and notice a small oil spot underneath, maybe the size of a quarter. It's not gushing, it's not spreading. So you make a mental note to deal with it eventually. That delay costs you thousands. Oil leaks never improve on their own. They only worsen. A slow seep from your valve cover gasket today becomes a steady drip next month and a stream coating your engine 6 months later. Beyond the mess, leaking oil creates fire hazards when it drips onto hot exhaust components. But the real damage happens inside your engine where you can't see it. Every drop that escapes is one less drop protecting bearings, camshafts, and cylinder walls. Modern Honda engines hold less oil than older design. Your Civic or Accord probably carries 3.7 to 4.2 quarts total capacity. Lose 1 quart through slow leaking, and you're operating 25% below safe levels. That's sufficient to damage bearings during hard acceleration or sustained highway speed. Valve cover gaskets fail most commonly on Honda engine. Repeated heat cycles make the rubber hard and brittle. Once hardened, gaskets crack and allow oil to seep out. Oil pan gaskets and rear main seals also leak as engines age. Replacing a valve cover gasket costs $150 to $300 at most shops. Waiting until low oil causes bearing damage costs $3,000 to $5,000 for engine overhaul or replacement. Walk around your Honda weekly looking for fresh oil underneath. If you spot a leak, schedule repair within the next 2 weeks maximum. Don't wait for the oil pressure warning light. By the time that light illuminates, damage is already occurring. Small leaks cost little to fix. Engine failures cost everything. Habit number 12. Refresh your cooling system. Every 5 years, Honda coolant isn't permanent despite what the long life label suggests. After 5 years of heating and cooling cycles, coolant chemistry changes. It becomes acidic and starts attacking the very components it's supposed to protect. Coolant prevents freezing, but that's not its only job. Anti-corrosion additives in the mixture protect aluminum engine parts, rubber hoses, and water pump seal. Those additives deplete over time. Once they're exhausted, your cooling system corrodes from the inside. Honda initially recommended coolant service at 120,000 miles or 10 years. After observing failures from degraded coolant chemistry, experienced Honda owners now change it every 60,000 miles or 5 years, whichever arrives first. Only use Honda Long Life Blue coolant in your Honda. Mixing different coolant types triggers chemical reaction. Never substitute green universal coolant or orange Dex Cool. Perform complete drain and refills, not just top-offs. Open the radiator drain and engine block drain plugs to remove 90% of old coolant. Refill using Honda coolant mixed 50-50 with distilled water. Never tap water. And if you're replacing your timing belt and water pump simultaneously, change coolant at the same time. Removing the water pump drains most coolant anyway, so fresh coolant with a new pump maximizes your cooling system longevity. A $50 coolant service every 5 years prevents thousands in cooling system repairs down the road. Saving money on coolant means spending it on repairs later. Habit number 11. Service your timing belt or timing chain. Honda engines use either timing belts or timing chains depending on the model and year. Both require attention, just at different intervals and in different ways. Timing belt engines need replacement at 90,000 miles or 7 years, whichever comes first. Honda's official recommendation says 105,000 miles, but experienced owners don't push that limit. Timing belts age from heat exposure and time regardless of mileage driven. Every Honda engine uses an interference design. If your timing belt snaps during operation, pistons collide with open valves because valve and piston timing is lost. The collision bends valves, damages pistons, and can crack the cylinder head. Repairing this destruction costs $2,500 to $4,000. Timing belts rarely telegraph their condition before failing. They appear serviceable one day and snap the next without warning. Don't gamble with your engine's survival. Replace the belt early. When servicing the timing belt, replace the water pump, tensioner, and idler pulleys at the same time. These wear together as a system. Replacing only the belt means disassembling everything again in 30,000 miles when the water pump inevitably fails. Timing chain engines aren't maintenance-free despite common belief. Chains stretch gradually over time, especially when oil changes get delayed. A stretched chain alters valve timing, causing rough idle, reduced power, and poor fuel economy. Listen for rattling sounds from the front of your engine during cold starts. If your Honda rattles for 10 to 15 seconds after starting, then quiets down, timing chain guides are wearing out. Switch to premium full synthetic oil immediately and begin budgeting for timing chain service. Timing chain replacement costs $800 to $1,500. It's expensive, but cheaper than waiting until the chain jumps teeth and destroys internal engine components. Timing belt engines need scheduled replacement. Timing chain engines need continuous monitoring. Both demand attention. Neither forgives neglect. Habit number 10. Schedule valve adjustments. Most drivers assume modern engines adjust their own valves automatically. Honda engines don't work that way. Your Honda requires manual valve clearance inspection and adjustment every 105,000 miles. Valve clearance determines how long valves remain open and how far they travel. As engines accumulate mileage, valve clearances tighten naturally. Valves running too tight don't close completely. Partially open valves get burned by escaping exhaust gases. Burnt valves cause cylinder misfires, significant power loss, and eventually require cylinder head removal for valve replacements. Replacing burnt valves costs $1,500 to $2,500. Symptoms indicating your valves need adjustment include loud ticking when the engine is warm, rough idle quality, weak power delivery, especially at high RPM, and VTEC that sounds different or fails to engage properly. Valve adjustment service costs $400 to $600 at most shops. While not cheap, it's dramatically less expensive than cylinder head work caused by neglected valve. Honda specifies valve adjustment at 105,000-mile intervals. Some mechanics recommend checking clearances at 100,000 miles for engines showing high wear. If clearances measure tight, adjust them immediately rather than waiting for the scheduled interval. Valve adjustment seems like optional maintenance until it suddenly becomes an emergency. Don't delay until symptoms appear. Follow the schedule and your valves will last your engine's entire lifespan. Habit number 9. Fill your tank with top-tier gasoline. Only this isn't a maintenance service you schedule. It's a daily decision that affects every system in your Honda, from fuel pump to catalytic converter. Top-tier gasoline contains enhanced detergent packages that actively clean injectors, intake valves, and combustion chambers. Regular gasoline meets EPA minimum detergent requirements. Top-tier gasoline exceeds those minimums by substantial margin. For Honda's direct injection engines, top-tier fuel becomes critically important. Without fuel washing over them, carbon deposits accumulate on valve surfaces from oil vapor and blow-by gases. Top-tier gasoline's superior detergent packages minimize this carbon accumulation. They don't eliminate it completely. No fuel can do that in direct injection engine, but they dramatically reduce buildup compared to budget gasoline. Top-tier certified brands include Shell, Chevron, Mobil, BP, and Costco, among others. The complete list appears on the top-tier gasoline website. These fuels typically cost 3 to 5 cents more per gallon than budget alternatives. Over a full year, that difference might total $50. Compare that $50 annual cost to the $400 to $600 expense of walnut blasting carbon from intake valve. Top-tier fuel represents the cheapest insurance available for your Honda's fuel system health. Using top-tier gasoline exclusively allows you to reduce fuel additive frequency. Add Techron every 10,000 miles instead of every 5,000 miles. Top-tier's enhanced detergents handle most cleaning requirements automatically. Honda engineers designed your engine assuming reasonable fuel quality. Top-tier gasoline delivers exactly that quality, allowing every component to function as intended. Habit number 8. Replace spark plug. Honda engines have specific spark plug requirements. Using incorrect plug types or delaying replacement causes misfires, reduced fuel economy, and potential internal engine damage. K-Series engines require iridium spark plugs exclusively, never copper. J-Series V6 engines need platinum or iridium. Even premium iridium plugs require replacement eventually. Honda recommends 60,000 to 100,000 mile intervals depending on your specific engine. At 100,000 miles, replace plugs even if they appear serviceable. Worn spark plugs produce multiple symptoms: rough idle, difficulty starting, weak acceleration, and misfire code. When replacing spark plugs, gap them precisely to specification. Most Honda engines require 0.039 to 0.043 inch gaps. Consult your owner's manual for exact specification. Incorrectly gapped plugs misfire under load despite being brand new. While changing plugs, inspect ignition coils simultaneously. Original coils exceeding 100,000 miles should receive preventive replacement. Coils fail gradually, creating intermittent misfires that prove difficult to diagnose. Replacing them alongside spark plugs prevents future problems. Use genuine Honda spark plugs or NGK equivalents meeting Honda specification. Bargain aftermarket plugs don't maintain proper tolerances and create more problems than they solve. Fresh spark plugs every 60,000 to 100,000 miles maintain your Honda's efficiency. Neglected plugs reduce fuel economy today and cause expensive engine repairs tomorrow. Habit number 7. Clean your VTEC solenoid screen. VTEC represents one of Honda's signature engineering achievements. It's also one of the most commonly neglected maintenance points on Honda engine. Your VTEC system operates on oil pressure, activating a solenoid that engages variable valve timing. Between your oil pump and that solenoid sits a small metal screen filter designed to catch particles circulating in your oil. Over time, sludge and debris clog this screen. Once clogged sufficiently, oil pressure can't reach the VTEC solenoid correctly. VTEC engagement becomes delayed, fails completely. When VTEC malfunctions, you lose power above 5,000 RPM. Your engine feels sluggish during aggressive acceleration. Fuel economy drops because the engine can't optimize valve timing for varying load. Many Honda owners mistakenly accept oil consumption as normal VTEC engine behavior. That's incorrect. Most oil consumption stems from clogged VTEC screens and deferred maintenance, not inherent design flaws. Cleaning the VTEC solenoid screen takes minimal time and skill. Locate the VTEC solenoid on your engine block. Remove it carefully using the correct socket. Extract the small metal screen filter. Soak the screen in brake cleaner for 20 minutes. Blow it completely clean using compressed air. Reinstall everything with a fresh gasket. This 30-minute procedure prevents hundreds of dollars in oil consumption costs and thousands in eventual engine damage. Perform it every 30,000 miles as preventive maintenance or immediately if VTEC stops engaging properly. Habit number 6. Inspect and replace worn suspension bushings and motor mount. Most Honda owners ignore the rubber components holding everything together: suspension bushings and motor mount. After 100,000 to 150,000 miles, these wear out from constant flexing and compression. Worn motor mounts cause clunking when shifting and excessive engine movement that can stress hoses and wiring. Worn suspension bushings make your Honda feel loose in turns, cause uneven tire wear, and prevent alignment from holding correctly. Inspect motor mounts every 50,000 miles. Look for torn rubber or separated bond. Replace any mount that's collapsed or deformed. For suspension bushings, if your Honda feels vague or wanders, inspect them immediately. Replacing mounts and bushings costs $800 to $1,200, but protects your engine and ensures safe handling for 100,000 miles. Many Honda owners upgrade to polyurethane bushings for longer life and sharper response. Fresh mounts and bushings make your Honda drive tight and responsive. Habit number 5. Change brake fluid every 3 years. Brake fluid represents the most commonly neglected fluid in your Honda. Most owners never change it once. That neglect creates dangerous driving conditions and expensive component failure. Brake fluid is hygroscopic, meaning it actively absorbs moisture from surrounding air over time. After 3 years of service, brake fluid typically contains 3% to 4% water content. That water contamination dramatically reduces the fluid's boiling point. When brake fluid boils, it creates vapor bubbles throughout your brake line. These vapor bubbles compress when you press the brake pedal. The result is a soft, spongy pedal that can't deliver full braking force. In emergency situations, this condition causes accident. Water contamination also corrodes internal brake system components. ABS modules, brake calipers, and master cylinders all contain metal parts that rust when exposed to moisture. Honda recommends brake fluid replacement every 36,000 miles or 3 years. Many experienced mechanics consider 3 years the absolute maximum regardless of accumulated mileage. Brake fluid replacement costs $80 to $120 at most shops. It's among the cheapest maintenance services available. Testing brake fluid moisture content costs nothing if you purchase a $15 moisture tester. Test your brake fluid annually. If moisture content exceeds 3%, flush the entire system immediately. Don't wait for the scheduled service interval. Your Honda's braking system represents its most critical safety feature. Fresh brake fluid ensures it functions properly when you need it most. Habit number 4. Diagnose and address check engine lights immediately. The check engine light doesn't mean your engine is about to explode. It does mean something requires attention now, before it escalates into expensive failure later. Most Honda owners see the check engine light illuminate and continue driving. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. A small, easily corrected problem transforms into major system failure. By the time they finally diagnose the issue, what could have been a $100 repair cost $1,500 or more. Check engine lights illuminate for numerous reasons: oxygen sensor failures, EVAP system leaks, catalytic converter efficiency problem, cylinder misfire. Each diagnostic code tells you exactly what's malfunctioning. A $20 code reader from any retailer lets you check codes yourself. Many auto parts stores read codes free of charge. There's absolutely no excuse for ignoring the light without at least determining what triggered it. Small problems cause significant damage when ignored long enough. A failing oxygen sensor eventually destroys your catalytic converter. If your check engine light flashes rather than staying solid, stop driving immediately. A flashing light indicates active misfires that are damaging your catalytic converter in real time. Continuing to drive with a flashing light can destroy your converter within minutes. Read the diagnostic code. Habit number 3. Service your power steering fluid every 60,000 miles. Power steering fluid degrades just like every other fluid in your Honda. Old fluid accumulates metal particles from the pump and steering rack. These particles circulate through the system continuously, grinding away at seals and accelerating component wear. Honda's maintenance schedule doesn't emphasize power steering fluid changes, but mechanics who rebuild power steering systems observe clear differences between systems maintained with fresh fluid and those operating on original fluid for 200,000 miles. Contaminated power steering fluid causes hard steering effort, whining noises from the pump, and eventual rack failure requiring replacement. A new power steering rack costs $600 to $1,200 installed. Flushing power steering fluid requires minimal tools and time. Disconnect the return line at the reservoir. Start the engine and allow old fluid to pump out into a drain pan. Continuously refill the reservoir with fresh Honda power steering fluid. Stop when clean fluid flows from the return line. This service takes approximately 30 minutes and costs roughly $30 in fluid. Perform it every 60,000 miles and your power steering will last your Honda's entire lifespan. Some newer Honda models use electric power steering without hydraulic fluid. If your Honda features electric steering, you can skip this maintenance item. Check your owner's manual if you're uncertain which system your Honda uses. For hydraulic power steering systems, fresh fluid every 60,000 miles prevents pump and rack failures that cost 10 times more to repair than preventive maintenance. Habit number 2. Protect your undercarriage against rust development. Rust doesn't just hurt appearance. It destroys structural components designed to protect you in crashes. If you live where roads get salted in winter or near coastal areas, rust threatens your Honda's safety. Salt accelerates rust on subframes, suspension components, brake lines, and fuel lines. Once rust starts, it spreads fast. Inspect your undercarriage twice yearly. Look for rust on the subframe, control arms, and exhaust. Surface rust is treatable. Structural rust means expensive replacement. Prevention is key. Wash your undercarriage regularly during winter. Many car washes offer undercarriage spray services. Apply fluid film or wool wax annually before winter. These oil-based treatments create barriers against moisture and salt. Rust damage accumulates slowly over years. By the time you notice it, repair costs often exceed your Honda's value, totaling the car despite a perfect engine. Protecting your undercarriage costs under $100 annually. A rust-free Honda stays safe and holds value. A rusty Honda becomes worthless no matter how well the engine runs. Habit number 1. Maintain a detailed service log. This represents the single most important habit for reaching 500,000 miles. Every time you change oil, rotate tires, replace filters, or perform any maintenance, document it thoroughly. Record the date, odometer reading, and exactly what service you performed. Keep all receipts for parts and labor. Store everything in a physical notebook or digital folder system. A detailed maintenance log helps you identify pattern. If your Honda develops an oil leak, you can review records and determine when the problem started developing. If fuel economy declines, you can correlate it to recent changes or neglected service intervals. Dealerships and independent mechanics take you more seriously when you present detailed maintenance records. They're less likely to recommend unnecessary services when they see you've been maintaining your Honda properly all along. A comprehensive maintenance log also increases resale value significantly. Buyers pay premium prices for well-documented vehicles. A Honda with complete service record sells for $1,000 to $2,000 more than identical cars without documentation. Most importantly, a log keeps you accountable to your Honda. You can't forget when you last changed transmission fluid if it's written down clearly. You won't miss valve adjustment intervals if they're scheduled in your notebook. Honda's maintenance minder helps, but it's insufficient alone. The minder resets between owners and doesn't track everything your Honda needs. Your personal log creates a permanent record independent of the car's computer system. A $2 notebook protects your Honda investment more effectively than any other tool in your garage. Start your log today, even if your Honda already shows 100,000 miles. Better to start late than never start at all. Reaching 500,000 miles isn't about purchasing the perfect Honda model or getting lucky with a good example. It's about following 15 specific habits that prevent the failures most owners mistakenly accept as inevitable aging. These 15 habits prevent 95% of the problems that destroy Hondas before 200,000 miles. The remaining 5% are random component failures that no amount of maintenance can prevent. But 15 out of 16 represents excellent odd. Your Honda was engineered to last. Honda designers built every component to reach 300,000 miles or beyond with appropriate care. The question isn't whether your Honda can make it to 500,000 miles. The question is whether you'll follow the habits that allow it to get there.